Hey guys, welcome to another video. We are talking about your manifesting process and mistakes you might be making, habits that you still haven't let go of that maybe you're not aware of that are actually holding you back, subconsciously, some conscious actions as well. So I'm going to get into that today. Stay tuned to hear my thoughts. Please do thumbs up if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you also enjoy. It would mean a lot to me. And just before we jump into it, for any new viewers and people considering coaching, you can pause the video or click any of the links below to take a look at what I offer, extra coaching services, the high value offers that I have, because I have quite a few different sales and discounts on currently, or just my membership. If you're interested in signing up as a member, as an LOA Coaching Darling, you can take a look at that. The join button is right below the screen. And without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. One of the key elements is your mental diet. So this isn't just a technique. I have quite a few videos that go more in depth on this topic, and of course I will continue to speak about it in on my channel. But basically, a mental diet is your mindset. It's a positive mindset. It's shifting around your thought patterns, releasing those negative habits, negative automated reactions, learning how to counteract the negative thoughts. So yes, it's a technique, but it's also like an overall practice that you just want to incorporate and improve overall in your life. So when it comes to your mental diet with your manifestation and changing around the story, changing around what you actually think and believe about the end result, your specific person, your career, yourself, anything, you want to be flipping that old story. So a mental diet is a key element to getting rid of that old story, the negative version, the negative old story, literally. So what was in the past, the circumstances you no longer want, the issues that you're trying to and working successfully, not just trying, but actually flipping around into that new positive version. So it's how you're going to change that around in your mind. It's going to be a lot easier if you apply this, or are at least aware, rather than, just a little bit of looping affirmations, a little bit of, working on your mindset. You're going to become more aware and say, oh, actually throughout the day, I got triggered here. This almost caused me to spiral. I'm reacting negatively in my mental state to this thing that just happened. Being aware of those things, that is all part of your mental diet. So when you have those negative thoughts, an important element is to actually acknowledge that, and then that's the first step, and saying, okay, I actually see a pattern here. I see, even if it's just like you don't need to analyze it and get to the root of everything, but at least saying, I've just had a negative thought and this ties into my manifestation. I've been triggered by something my SP said to me, affected me, whatever it might be. You're recognizing that, you're aware of it, and then you're going to keep working to turn it around. So flipping those negative thoughts and applying repetition is how you're going to get rid of them, counteract them, and erase them, because every repetition of the positive statement of your affirmations is kind of erasing that one negative thought you had. So the more you can catch them, the better, the faster you can get with that, the more of a habit you build up with it through practice, the better. This just comes naturally with practice. Anyone is capable of this. So yeah, catching that and then applying repetition with your affirmations, with the positive mindset, that is the key element. That is a mistake you might be making. If you find that you get triggered a lot and you just spiral, you really are mentally holding on to that old story, even though of course you don't want to, you're finding it hard to push beyond that. Chances are you're not being consistent or fully applying your mental diet. So it also ties into allowing the old story to just replay automatically in your mind. So again, if you're not catching those thoughts and you're not seeing the pattern in your own mind, then it's going to be harder. You're probably going to get caught up a lot, and it's going to be a little bit harder, a little bit longer to get out of those habits and this up and down and hot and cold within yourself, which then reflects outwards because you're constantly being triggered by something, constantly having a mental and emotional reaction, maybe panicking, feeling anxious, trying to analyze things. You're not getting yourself out of those habits. So by not catching it and recognizing it and saying, no, that's not true, and then looping your affirmations a little bit, you're allowing that old story to automatically replay. So the same thoughts will come up. Oh yeah, SP hasn't conformed. SP's not contacting me. SP and I are broken up, or maybe they don't have feelings for me. All these different thoughts about any topic you're manifesting can and possibly could come up. If you're not catching that, it's just going to keep automatically replaying the patterns you've already built up, because you're not changing those negative patterns. So it's not about having a perfect mindset or obviously only thinking positive thoughts. We're not robots who can just be programmed. We are humans. So it's okay to think negatively and have some doubtful thoughts and think logically. You just want to keep the majority of your thoughts positive. That's the goal to work towards. And, whilst you're getting there, catch and flip as many of those negative thoughts as you can. And that's why it's the mental diet, because that's the kind of concept and term used to apply to that. You're on a diet with your thoughts. You're only consuming and engaging with positive thoughts to the best of your ability where you can, and releasing and kind of erasing those negative thoughts. So along with that, if you're not applying a lot of repetition, you need a very strict mental diet, and vice versa. If you're not really applying a mental diet, then you need to be looping a lot, be super consistent and saturating your mind constantly all throughout the day. So you might be applying only a little bit of repetition. So again, you don't need to spend your entire day or go crazy with it. But if you can balance the both, where you're aware of your thoughts and trying to catch at least quite a few negative thoughts throughout the day and then immediately flipping them, that's an excellent effort. And it is going to make a progress. It is going to make a shift in your mindset, as well as applying repetition throughout the day. So if you're only applying a little bit and doing just a little bit here and there, it's not really in your list of priorities every day, then don't expect really quick or powerful shifts, because you're only putting a little bit of effort. So chances are there'll only be a little bit of movement. If there's a negative old story applied, if there's a lot of significance there, or emotional connection, anything like that, if it's something that is really important to you and a goal that you really, really want to achieve, it's probably going to take a little bit more time and effort, because you're not being super consistent. You're not working in the first few days or the first week to really, really saturate your mind and shift your thoughts and mindset as best as you can. Because if you only put a little bit of effort, chances are you're only going to get a little bit of progress and results. So the key element to really take away and focus on is that you're saturating your mind with the new story. You want to repeat and apply repetition, because that is what's going to shift your assumptions and beliefs in your subconscious mind to the new version, to the new story. Keep telling yourself and thinking, I already have this end result, and repeating your affirmations. The key element is to just keep telling your mind every day, as often as you can, as often as you have time to do so, I have this. This is what my life looks like. This is what my life looks like. It's the repetition that's going to build it up. You may also be trying to analyze things logically. Look at your 3D reality, look at your circumstances, and apply logical, rational thinking and analysis. The way it's totally normal for humans to apply, solutions and thinking through problems and trying to analyze what is it called? Solution thing? No, okay, I don't know the correct term, but basically the way you would think to analyze and solve problems, trying to get to a solution and resolve issues, problem resolution, whatever it is, you would normally think that way. It's not wrong to think that way. That's just the way your conscious mind is, but you don't want to feed into that. You don't want to be consciously choosing repetitively, like every single day or throughout the day, constantly thinking, well, look at this 3D reality, look at this circumstance, look at what's going on, and SB said this to me, and this is the last conversation we had, and trying to analyze all that and then take it as objective fact, or dig deep and try and overthink and overanalyze what's going on around you. It's not going to benefit you. It's not going to show you anything new. It's certainly not going to show you anything positive. Unless you're thinking about positive things like movement, or yay, SP texted me, and replaying that and saying, I've got movement, I've got progress. If it's a positive way of thinking, obviously you can think about your 3D reality, but chances are it's about circumstances. It's about where you're at in this moment as you're still experiencing a physical lack of your end result being here. So if you're trying to analyze it and think about it in that way, it's not going to help you. It's going to probably slow things down a little, hold you back, because you're just reaffirming and reminding your mind of the old version, the old story. You're not continuing to saturate your mind more powerfully with the new version and saying, this is my reality now, this is my reality now. You're feeding back into the normal way of thinking logically and saying, look at all these negative circumstances or these little negative moments, and saying, oh, well, if I add all those up together, here's my negative assumption, and that's just how my reality is. And you're going to hold yourself back, kind of demotivate yourself. It's just, you want to be careful with that way of thinking. And then also with that, the way you would analyze and get to that conclusion is by constantly checking your 3D reality. So if it's a pattern that you've built up, or, if you're very connected to the end result, and again, it has emotional significance, like for example, a specific person, then, you know, you're gonna have that urge to check the 3D and want to see progress and updates and get that validation and reassurance. But checking the 3D isn't gonna bring in your result. It's not gonna get you what you want. It's not gonna speed things up. It's just not beneficial. So you wanna be really careful with that and, you know, try and get out of that habit. Try and have the self-control and, you know, self-awareness to say, oh yeah, I've gone back on their social media, or I'm checking again for messages. Trying not to do that anymore, or at least applying a mental diet throughout the process. So those are all different ways in which you may potentially be holding yourself back and slowing down some of the progress. So try and be aware of those things that you're doing mentally and logically about your manifestation, because they're not necessary and it's not going to progress your end result any faster. So just try and be aware of those things. But I am going to leave this video here. Hopefully that was useful for you guys and you gained some extra clarity and maybe picked up on a few things that you can work on a little bit. So if you did enjoy that, please do thumbs up, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and I will see you guys next time.